Thank you, Tanu. Thank you for joining. Hi. A very good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining this live. Today, we have a very special session where Dr. Venu Murthy is going to do a live regression for all of us to unblock abundance. So, let's just wait for a few more people to join in, and then I will. Hi, Vanita. Thank you for joining. And then I will add Dr. Murthy. Let's just wait for a few more people. Yeah. So I think I'll just start introducing Dr. Murthy here, and then we'll just have others join in while I'm doing the introduction. So Dr. Venu Murthy is a technologist. He is the co-founder of Amrinthos, which is an academy for past life regression therapists. He is an author. He is a regression therapist who was trained under Dr. Brian Weiss himself. And I feel privileged that I had an opportunity to get trained by him. So I will add Dr. Murthy here and request him to join me for this session. I can see him here. Venu, I have sent you the request. Just see if you can. Yes. Hi.
Hello, namaste.
Very, very, very warm welcome. Yes, we need to fix your frame a little bit.
1 second. Any better?
I think it looks better now.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Oh,
Perfect.
can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, you're audible to me. Can others please tell us if you all can hear Venu? I think you are audible, Venu. I can't tell you how happy I am to have you here. And because I know that you're not really a social media enthusiast, and I hardly ever see you making such appearances. So thank you for doing this exception for me and my audience. I am truly honored.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was actually inspired by the amount of work that you do. By the time I finish my work and I get to socials, it's already too late at night, so I'm not able to participate in this. But I always get inspired by the work that you do, and so I thought, okay, fine. So I generally consider my clients as my children. So your children are my children. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so we'll just do what is the best for them. And this is the
Absolutely.
first time I'm there on Instagram Live, or for that matter, I've ever come out live, because most of my work has always been a one-to-one, which has always been very fruitful for me, because I'm a binary guy actually. Either it's a zero or a one, so nothing in
I know
between,
that.
right?
I
So
know that. And I was very skeptical before sending you an invitation. I was not really sure, but I am glad you accepted. And I have a few questions that our audience, we took these questions before the session. So
okay,
before we actually get into the regression session, I would really request you to answer these few questions if you can.
okay, sure. Why not? Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first one was, the most common question asked,
Hmm.
and that is whether past life regression therapy or a past life regression is an illusion or is it truth?
Yes.
So what
So,
would you like to say on that?
I will just tell you a little bit about myself so that it helps people, because
Yes.
what you would realize is that I'm the most skeptical person that anybody could ever come across, right?
Yes.
So, so if you see my life, it has been a beautiful journey, bred for the Indian Army, in Army school, and then moved on to a very good engineering field where I ended up innovating a lot of futuristic technologies. And I worked in the second toughest company to join in the world, which is ThoughtWorks, right? So the Googles and the Microsofts come at fifth and eighth place. So that's the kind of a mindset I have. And uh, I'm just interested in spiritual things about our scriptures and about our books and all of these, but never gave it a serious thought. If you had asked me even 5 years ago if I would be doing something of this sort, I would have laughed at you actually, right? And uh, because there's no need actually. I would have never imagined doing like this, but for so many things that happened in my life, I'll just go in a very fast pace because I don't want to waste people's time. And my aim is to look at how you can utilize your own mind. The abundance that you are seeking out is actually right within yourself, and when that gets sorted, you'll see the whole world is actually going to start responding to you. So just coming to quickly finish up with my life, how I have actually got into this and also address the fears that you have regarding past life, is when I read, when I used to read books like our Garuda Puran, all the scriptures and all of these. So right now I'm in my farmhouse. So this is where I come to just relax, be with my books, and most of the books that you see behind are the scriptures, which are like more than 20-25 years old. And I would read this, but I would always be like, and I'm from a non-Brahmin family, so none of my parents even know about these books. But my first fascination was for Bhagavad Gita. And when I read it, when I read Upanishads, and when I see the science that used to be taught in my school, the quantum physics and all, I used to find a strange kind of a correlation which no other students used to actually experience. And that's when I just stumbled upon books like Edgar Casey's Many Lives, Many and so many books. And I was fascinated. I was like, the East, whatever the East has been speaking for the past 8,000 years, is what is again being discovered by the West, right? So that's what fascinates when I read books by amazing intellectuals and academic credential holders like Dr. Raymond Moody and Dr. Edgar Casey. Sorry, not a doctor, but he's a master, right? And Dr. Brian Weiss. Getting the book Dr. Brian Weiss's Many Lives, Many Masters was a life changer for me. And then I used to shuttle quite often between US and India because that's where our headquarters were. And in one of the Denver's meeting, I just happened to meet Dr. Brandweiss, and I was fascinated by him. This was happening in 2009, uh, and I was like, I have roamed the whole country. I have been in Himalayas, and I have seen everything here. But when I saw him for the first time, I felt this is the first time I'm meeting someone who is so genuine, who is so honest about what he does. Right? For me, it was the first time I've met Upanishadic Rishi, and that kind of people are there in this country for sure. But we have to be very blessed for our paths to cross with theirs. So once I met him, and then I wanted to. He was very loving, very kind, and he actually told me about his workshop where he said, "I'm coming from Omega, where I did a training for some people in past life regression therapy, and five of them were from India." And I was like, "Who undergoes these kind of trainings? What is the need for undergoing a training?" But it so happened that my life, so many ups and downs happened after my marriage, and that was a turning point for me. I saw how the death of a loved one can push a person to the limits of, for the entire family to think of committing suicide. And that's when I just tried to venture in, and my scriptural knowledge, all of these were failing. And that's where I saw the best application of all this scripture. So whatever knowledge is there so far, the genuine knowledge, all this has been beautifully packaged and put into an application in terms of the psychology. And going beyond that is the psychiatry. And going beyond that is past life regression therapy, I felt. So
Mm.
after having seen the healing, the transformation that it brought, wherein it brought a 80% healing person just after 2, 3 sessions, I was intrigued. And being a technologist, we just help capitalists consume our earth faster, right? That's the only thing we do. We just consult the Walmarts, the Tesco's, and all these big companies to just finish our earth as soon as possible. So that gift is always technologist. We earn a lot of money, but there is no satisfaction at the end of the day. Somewhere, this thing that you haven't done anything for the society keeps eating us. And if you people do not know what actually happens in the side of a technologist, where what people see from outside is they are sitting in beautiful air conditioned mansion like offices with laptops and
Yeah.
beautiful computers, and they don't understand the self-destructive nature that these people have, the drinking, the drugs, the rage driving, the suicidal tendencies. One of my colleagues who is a top-notch technologist, Aaron Swartz, a movie was taken out after his life. He committed suicide. He holds the patents for so many technologies, and he is the innovator of so many technologies that we still use. And he had a rough patch through which he couldn't survive, and he ended up taking his own life. And that's when I realized that suicides is so much rampant in this society, and the rate of suicides is very high. It's around two people commit a suicide in every 1 minute. So that's the rate of suicide that we are witnessing in this world. With the
Mm.
advancement in technology, with the advancement in modernization, there are people who are feeling left out, and they are healthy people. They are not suffering corona, they are not suffering AIDS, they are not suffering any of these big
Yeah.
diseases. They are very healthy people, just like you and I, who are just passing through a rough patch, and there is nobody who is genuinely there to hold their hand and tell them, hey, don't worry, you will be out of this very soon. And that's when they think of taking their life. And
And, and you think for a mindset like that, where you're so emotionally fragile,
mm,
that even after having all the material success, still you feel driven to do something
very,
as drastic as this, where PLR or past life regression therapy, as we say, that can come in handy and that can make the difference.
yes. So, connecting this to the question that you asked first is, after having seen all these things, I thought, okay, let me just go to my master, like learn this past life regression therapy, because I've seen the transformation that it has brought in a very close person into complete revival of this person. So I just signed up, went for the training with Dr. Wise in Omega in US. It was just a 5 days training. We had a lot of fun. And the first question that I asked my master was, hey, how do I know that what I experienced is real? Right? That's the same question each and every client, each and every
Right.
one client asks, right? And that
Yeah.
man, that old man with so much of sage-like wisdom, just imagine he's just finished the regression, and this is the first session with him. There are 150 people sitting, and he's not even stopped. And I just get up and say, how do I know that what I experienced is real? And what I had experienced was just a trivial glimpse of something, and I just somebody sneezed or coughed, and I just came out of the trance. So that he said, don't worry about what is real and what is imagined. Just flow
Yeah.
with your thoughts. These are the exact words he had told me. And even after 10 years of this practice, I still see the depth of his words, because right now, it's not just what my client feels right after the session. I have a 300% healing rate, right? From a pain level, on a universal pain scale, if you take 0 to 10, and 10 being the most painful, where it's dysfunctional for you, to 0 being not painful, most of the issues are at around 8 to 10. And the client eventually, like we use a 15-stage process, which is very intensive. It's a 16 hours process, 16 plus hours. So the result has to come because the mind is a mechanical, is as mechanical as the world that we see, though people don't
Yeah.
want to. Right? If you read books like Rationally Irrational and those kind of books, you will see how actually the mind is compulsively behaving in the same usual way, actually, repeatedly.
Yeah.
Leveraging upon that, you can have the systematic approach to being able to bring the cognitive restructuring, actually, right? And
Mm.
a 300% healing. Now, how do I know this? Because as an engineer who is like working on the top-notch technology on the days, and then on weekends sitting and doing this crazy thing with people, and they're having so many ab reactions. And while I have myself till today not experienced a 15-stage process, right? So, but then I thought, okay, like I need evidence for this. I need the evidence of this healing, and that's when I brought this electroencephalography, just like ECG, right? Electrocardiograph measures your heart rate. Electroencephalograph measures your brain wave, actually, right?
Mm.
So pre-session to post-session, I do a comparison of the changes in the brain waves, right? You have the
Mm.
beta and alpha brain waves, right? So these brain waves, you can clearly see the cognitive restructuring having taken place, and your ECG actually reporting the same level of healing that the client is actually experiencing. So what I
Mm.
would try to, the point I would try to put across is, yes, it's a very, it looks very ambiguous. It looks very
Mm.
esoteric, but number
Yes.
one, past life is not always your the previous incarnation. Anything,
Yes.
even 5 minutes ago, and its impact is going to stay with you for the entire life, is your past life. That is what we call it
Mm.
engram, right? So
Yes.
whatever you experience in your past life regression session, now there are two things there. Now a therapist who is just in a hurry to just get your money or something like that, they can create an experience for you, while our approach is Ericksonian. It's an indirect art of suggestion that we follow, where if there is something emerging, let it emerge. If there is nothing coming up, perfectly all right. We never
Yes.
facilitate. That's what you have seen, isn't it, Sakshi, in
I
the
have.
training all the
And I
time?
do remember during my training when we had these questions in the initial, when we were all talking about it. And I remember you telling me, even if it is imagination, tell your
Yes.
client, even if it is imagination, just go with it and flow with it. And as long as they're getting their results, we get what we want out of the session. And that's what I do till date. So I follow that to what you told me to do.
And the thing is, now the mind, right? There are two minds here. One is the
Yes.
subconscious, one is the
Mm.
conscious. The conscious mind is plugged to these five senses, right? It's the
Yeah.
mind that helps us navigate through our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Just only it's only bothered about keeping you alive for the day. Like if you are the caveman in those days, you had to come out of your cave, hunt, get your food, and just go and be safe for the night. This is all that you have you had to do with the conscious mind. Now you, if we take a cycle, if the conscious mind is a bicycle, to reach US, it's not possible actually. To reach Mars, it is not possible. So that's the
Yeah.
reason. We also have that beneath the tip of this iceberg, which is the conscious mind, you have this
Mhm.
unconscious mind, which is the seat of all your learning so far. Whether you believe
Mm.
of past life regression therapy is you don't even need to believe in reincarnation, but it still works.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Because the now suppose you just close your eyes and you imagine like you're sitting at a beautiful restaurant where a beautiful music is playing, the ambience is just perfect, and and you have ordered your favorite dish, and you're just being there, just enjoying the moment, and they serve your favorite dish there, and you just take putting that spoon in the mouth. It's at the right temperature, hot or cold, just the way you like it. Don't you like your mouth start salivating?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Salivating. True.
So is it
The moment
real?
we look at lime, that's what happens. Even the image of lime or somebody eating
Yeah,
something like that,
right.
that triggers the response.
Exactly. So the thing is, this thing of what is real, real is in our language is what my five senses can perceive. Whatever is tangible for me is what I call as real. Now let's, if that is the test of reality, what about the signal? Like this phone is not connected to anything, right? What about these
Hmm.
signals are being able to go all over the world? And the second thing, what about happiness and sadness? Where is it?
Yeah,
Is it, how real is it? Can you touch happiness? Can you touch sadness? We cannot
yeah,
actually. So this whole thing about being obsessed with trying to bring something which is so magnanimous into the domain of reality is actually not the right approach to thinking. Though there are scientists like Dr. Lay Shah and all of these people who wanted to disprove any kind of existence of paranormal, but they themselves became very big converts of this. Right? So this is how this journey is. I am very passionate about it. I can go on for days together, not
I
hours.
know.
I can go on about this for days together, but I want this whatever time that we are going to spend together to have a very big impact on your life. It shouldn't be just yet another live event that you have attended or yet
Correct.
another Instagram post that you have seen. This should change your life. That is my obsession. That is what I have come here for. So, any more questions? Let's take them
I,
and then.
I think we're going to just keep the questions in case there are any. There are a few, but we'll keep it for the end of the session because I really want everyone who's here to first experience what we're talking about. And
Okay.
that experience is really more than enough for
Mm.
answering all the questions anyone has. So let's
Right?
just go with it. And if there are any questions, anyone who in the audience has questions related to the session that we have, or otherwise you can
Yeah.
post it after the session, and then we'll take the Q&A post the session.
Right. So don't have any apprehensions. That's like if you see we are in a 15 stage process. One is we do this thing of the introduction and the mental notes, and then so many things we do. Right? We have the pre-talk where we address all the fears that people might have. If there is any big fear that anybody has, like one of the prominent one being, hey, what if I get stuck in some past life, right? That is one fear most of the people
A
have. So
lot of
don't,
people, what if I don't come back?
right. So because right now with the limited time that we have, we'll try to cover as much ground as possible. But as a therapist, the rule of thumb is never open up something which you cannot close, right?
Yeah,
So I will try to keep it as generic as possible. Like I
yes,
said, this is the first time I'm coming out into the open after 10 years because I have seen that this has been subjected to a lot of commercialization, unnecessary
yeah,
commercialization. And fortunately, Amaranthus was registered as a non-profit trust, and I'm moving into the direction of making every service available at Amaranthus free, right? So that's the
yes.
main reason why we are here. And by 2025, we will try to make all the services in Amaranthus free. So right. So that's the reason. We are here. I hope it goes on well. It's a good use
Sure,
of it, right? Okay. So
absolutely.
any
Before we
any
begin, I will just request everyone who's here right now to be in a quiet place. Try not to have any disturbance. Just tell everyone to not disturb you for the next 45 minutes to about 1 hour. And just enjoy the process. Be in this and go
yes,
with the flow. Do not rationalize too much. And
right.
just I think we're all privileged that Venu is doing this for us. So let's make most of this.
Yes. And there is one important thing that I wanted to bring out. Remember, um, but there is just one important conflict. Now, see, this thing is about abundance, right? This session is about abundance. Just a little bit of an intro about what we are going to do. So, what is abundance, right? What is abundance?
Yeah.
It's a very important question. So, like for
Yes,
example,
it is okay. It is okay. Somebody said that I've just had an apple a few minutes back. Is it okay to do this right
yeah,
now?
perfectly fine.
Look.
You have anything actually. You can even have a biryani and do the session, all right? I don't know how all these things develop, right? Where people are thinking about so many things. So don't worry about anything. Just remember, this is an advanced type of meditation, nothing else. Now, you see one thing, these gamers, right? You take any high achiever, any person who has achieved very highly in any kind of a field, in gaming or any of these things, you will find that these people use a powerful thing called as visualization. All right,
Yeah.
visualization is your friend. Now, visualization is not the same as imagination. Now, some people
Hmm.
might, oh, I cannot visualize anything. Like if I say, imagine a ball of light flowing down through your forehead. So we are going to be doing all these things, and you will be like, oh, I cannot imagine. Now, see, remember, there are three types of people here. One, the there is a person who is a visual person who thinks visually, right? Then there is a person who is auditory, they hear things, right?
Yeah.
And there is a person who is kinesthetic, who feels the whole.
Hmm.
They might not know. They, if I ask them to imagine going into their favorite restaurant, they cannot imagine in the way that a visual person can. But
Yeah.
they they can experience just walking into that restaurant, feeling the aromas there, ambience. So these are kinesthetic people. So if you
Yeah.
are kinesthetic, just replace the word as visualize to feel. There is
Yeah.
no there is no need for you to see anything. There is no need for you to see anything. All right, we work with what we have. And the most important concept I want to bring up is something called as conflicts. Now, what are these conflicts? We all have conflicts actually. Like, let's go back to a time when there is this beautiful, highest documented seer in the world, our Edgar Casey, lying down, acting as a medium, and there is a man coming to him with this problem of fearing a feather. Now, would anybody fear a feather? And is there anyone who fears a feather here? Right?
Hmm.
Even a won't, right? It's such a beautiful, fluffy, beautiful thing. So so this man wanted to understand, why does he freak out on seeing a feather? He's perspirating, and then his heart is palpitating, and then he just cannot. It's like, see, there are some people who cannot stand the sight of a lizard. Actually, it's like that for him.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
There, so this man goes to Edgar Casey, and Edgar Casey says that in one of your lifetimes, it means in trance, he's tapping into that Akashic record, and he's channeling that message that in one of your lifetimes, you were a tribal man who was actually fighting another tribe, and this tribe actually overpowered your tribe and killed everyone in your tribe and left you completely disabled,
Oh.
and no help came for days together. And there is this birds of prey watching you, and they are just watching you. And when they are confirmed that you cannot defend yourself, they start attacking you and plucking out every inch of your flesh, and you are conscious of it until you left your body. So what has happened here, that association of that pain of death, right? It's not a normal death. It's the most painful form of a death.
Painful. Correct.
So, so this association of that pain is being anchored. So I'm using these technical words. Try to make sense of them. Anchored in the site of this feather, actually, right? So the thing is, these things trigger. Now, always remember one thing: feeling is the color for your thoughts. Thoughts in themselves don't have a feeling. All right? Try to understand this.
Hmm.
Feeling is the color of your thoughts. The same thought can have the color of, say, blue, which is happiness, or red, which is happiness, and the same thought can also have a feeling associated with it of sadness. I'll give you a simple example, all right, to understand this. Employ this in a day. You have a you just meet a person after, say, 20-30 years. You just go somewhere in a bank or some place, and you just see this person, and you know, hey, I've seen this, I know this person, I know this person. Now immediately what happens is there is a thought that comes within you, there's a feeling that you associated with that person. It could be a happy one or a sad one, or even
Mm.
a neutral one is fine. But you do not know, like, let's take an example, whether it's a sad one, like you are not happy looking at that person, and you want to avoid that confrontation, right?
Mm.
And then you just go back home and think, why did I overreact on the sight of this person? What is it that he
Yeah.
might have 20-30 years ago because of which I did this? And then you sit and you think in your memory bank, you go back and you think, and then, yeah, this is the thing. He told me this, he did this to me, and that's why I felt like this, right? All of us have experienced this,
Yeah.
isn't it, sir? Right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Feeling is something, it's like the synthesized version of our thought. It's the
Thought.
synthesized version. It's the synthesized, it's like the fabric that we are wearing. Thoughts are like the
I
thread.
love the way you put it that feelings are the color to thoughts. I think that explains it so beautifully and so well. Yeah.
So always make it a habit of self introspection, where you're just checking with yourself. What is the color of my thoughts right now? What are the color? What is colored with? And just be binary. That's fine. Happy or
Yeah.
sad? Happy or sad? Okay. Am I sad? What am I sad? What am I anxious about? What am I agitated about? Let me just think. Ah, okay. Today morning I had a bill that had to be paid. I'm late on paying that bill. That's why agitation is there. And this agitation I'm throwing up on everyone I'm meeting, actually. But
Mm.
so this is what is called as a emotional hygiene, actually, right? We all
Yeah.
have hygiene. We all take bath once or twice per day, but we never sit with ourselves. We give time to the whole world, but we never sit with ourselves. We never give time to what I'm experiencing within. Right? The whole world, actually, if you see, is right inside. It is within us, and this is what is projected outside, right? And there are so many examples of, I'll give a simple example, all right? There is this client who comes, he's an investment advisor, where he comes on CNBC, and she was your earlier batchmate, and he's her husband, and she had learned so many therapies only to heal him out of this uh, uh, phobia. Like, see, fear is one thing. Fear is a good thing. You're standing on like the 100th floor of a building and there is fear. It's good. It's there to protect you from falling down from that building. Yeah, otherwise, you would be a dodo, right? You'd just uh,
Yeah.
not have fear there. You might just fall and die, right? Nobody can defy gravity. But then if you're just standing on like 3-4 steps up, and then you have this intense fear of falling down, or you're just in 1 or 2 feet of water and you have this intense fear of drowning, where is all this getting triggered? So this man had this intense fear whenever he took a flight, actually. So he is
Mm.
from southern tip of India, and his job role demands that he travels. Actually, he has to go to expos all around the world, and his income started dwindling. At this particular age, he stopped traveling, and his income has started to dwindle. Like, it's just not there anymore, because he's not able to travel to the outside countries. And even the his range had become like Mumbai. The maximum he could go from the southern tip was to Mumbai. And how would he go? He would drive, actually. So he would drive day to reach Mumbai from southern tip. So this is how much of an impact our phobias have upon us, right? Now, when we are in the tying this down to the context of abundance that we are going to talk today about, how does this affect our life? Is, as soon as you show something to your friend, you're wearing a nice dress, some nice ornament, what do they generally do? Like typical, like middle class mentality is how much, right?
Yeah.
You Mercedes Benz and take it there, how much, all right? How much
Yes.
is you get, right?
True.
So why is that? Because the limitation has been jam packed within us actually from our childhood, conditioning, money, right? And then we associate money to abundance. Now that is another misconception I want to remove actually, because I have seen people of the capacity like our Ratan Tata come to me for sessions. Not that Ratan Tata came, but these are the same level. They are in the same level, and because of client confidentiality, I cannot reveal their names. But even these people who are sitting on so much of money, like they have to just make a phone call and they can transact in millions actually, or over a phone call. And they also have this fear of bankruptcy actually. They have nightmares, right? So it's not, the question is never about your bank balance. And I'll tell you one more thing. If we should have enough to just go along, being able to spend and have fun with whatever we have. The more we have, the more is the worry that we have actually. Like Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya said it actually, putradapi dhana bhajam bhitihi, means a rich man is afraid even of his own son, right? Because the son can take away all the money from him. So that's the thing, right? So it's not about the external circumstances that we have. What I'm trying to tie down for you, right? What you are perceiving as reality is not actually what is out there actually. What you are experiencing reality is what is there right within you. You might
True.
have $1 million left in your bank account and you might still want to commit a suicide because, oh my god, all that I have is $1 million in my bank account, right?
Yeah.
And there could be someone who doesn't have anything, but he has the confidence, he has the self confidence to say that no matter what happens, I can rise up again. I'm like a phoenix. I will rise
Yeah.
again. I will prove to myself. And we see history has actually brought out all the underdogs, like the people we call, who have been trampled by the society. They just bounce back with so much of force and enthusiasm, right? So that is the thing. And another thing is, always remember there is this thing called as karma, actually, right?
Yeah.
Is in my opinion, the greatest intellectual person, the greatest minds of this past so many centuries is our Lord Buddha himself. And the man was Nastika. He didn't believe. He clearly said, "I don't believe in God." He just said that actually. This is the Nastika form. Why? Because the gods that we worship are our own ego constructs actually. We have constructed a god within our mind based upon the conditioning that our parents and our religion has given, and we are worshipping that actually instead of actually finding out what is the truth. Such a greatest mind accepted karma. Karma is, what is karma? Karma is, I have done in the past will come to me. That's the common understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what to you today is just like Jesus brought to the world saying, God is loving. Prior to that, all the gods was God of vengeance and God of so many other negative qualities. But Jesus was the first one. Yeshu was the first one who said, God is loving. So I want to bring this out from all our masters like Edgar Casey and all of them saying, karma is not an act of retribution. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this call is that karma is never an act of retribution. Karma is never to punish you. Your mother sent you to school not as an act of punishment actually. They sent you as an
To
act of love,
learn.
right? They
Yeah.
wanted you to flourish in life. They wanted you to have a beautiful life. That's and they knew no better actually. They thought, okay, this is the way for him to have him or her to have a beautiful future. And that's when they put us to these schools. And this this world, right, like my master says, is a one room classroom where you have the LKG people with the PhD people actually, and they both feel they are equal also. Right? So that's what Master says. So this is a one room classroom in which we have been assigned our classrooms, and classrooms is nothing It's not a jail, it's a classroom where we have to learn our lesson. And as soon as we learn our lesson, we are promoted to the next class.
Next.
But
True.
if we don't learn our lesson, then we are just kept there forever. There is a demotion
Yeah.
also. People ask, can we become animals? Humans become animals?
Yeah,
So,
that's a common question. Yes.
right? And animals, don't look at animals as a degradation from the human life. I like you see the cases of in Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi, where you have these peacocks and panthers and monkeys and squirrels and so many such animals who used to come to him, and he would say they are in the last stage of their realization. He built, there are temples built for a crow, right? There is a temple built for crow, then there is a temple for one cow called Lakshmi. So
Mm.
this about we being superior to animals, let us remove that feeling also in this universal classroom, which we call the Chidakasha, which is this subtlest form, right? So this Atman, from Atman, these three gunas come out, and these three gunas are the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And their permutation and combination forms the Tanmatras. And these Tanmatras, again, their permutation and combination form this world actually that you see.
Mm.
So what the Vedanta is talking about is the world we see outside is my own projection.
Yeah.
You're seeing an ugly face out there, you have an ugly face. It's not the mirror's problem. If you're seeing
Yeah.
a beautiful face out there, it's you are blessed, right? So that is the thing. And the most important thing is always remember that karma is not an act of retribution. Whenever you are in a dire confused situation in your life, just think and reflect, what is it that my cosmic father might want me to learn through this experience? And I'm telling you, this is not something that I've read in books or something. It's my own personal experience. So with that conviction, I'm telling you, if you get the lesson right, the entire circumstances around you will be changed. You can take this up as a challenge if you want.
Mm.
But this has to be genuine, actually. Your inquiry should be genuine. What is it
True.
that my father would want me to learn through this experience? If you just introspect on that and if you learn your lesson without any bias, actually, it shouldn't be like, oh, I should just slap that person back, hit that person. No, with love, with compassion. As you go nearer to the goal, you will see automatically you start having these beautiful experiences of love, compassion. They are universal laws, actually. And so,
Yeah.
coming back to Buddha, Buddha was such an intellect, but he believed in karma. And karma is
Yeah.
not an attribution. Karma is as real as gravity that we experience on this earth, right? And that's the third law of thermodynamics also, right? Every action has an equal and opposite
Yeah.
reaction.
Reaction. True.
All the believe that if you are experiencing something, you are solely responsible for this. God is
Mm.
compassion. He is never like first thing we see in all our Hindi movies and all is anything bad happens, they and he's shouting on God, right? It's not like that actually, right? Left hand will never punish the right hand. Our left eye will
Correct.
never set the right eye, right? So
Correct.
that's we are one with God, and God never punishes. God never see. And the thing is, when I say God, it's every God accommodates whatever shit that you give him, right? That is the thing of this word called avatara. Avatara means coming down for you. We as jivas, we reincarnate, but for
Yeah.
him there is reincarnation. For him it is avatarana, means coming down. He
Yeah.
lowers frequency to ours out of his
Yeah.
compassion, just like a elephant kneels in front of a baby who wants to go on board the elephant. That is God. Never ever look at God in a very negative way. Always take self responsibility. What I'm experiencing today is my own making. And if you take that self responsibility, it gives you the conviction, it gives you the courage, it gives you this energy to say that yes, now I can change whatever I had inside. Like Dr. Carl Jung, he says, right? Carl Jung is the father of psychiatry. He's the
Yeah.
father. There's no greater intellectual in the Western psychology than him.
Hmm.
He's what is the blocks that you experience here in your unconscious is actually what you call as fate.
Hmm.
The unconscious is what we call the fate. The unconscious is the subconscious or whatever when we dive inside. And today I'll help you reach there. And so that is the thing. So this karmic patterns. So this karma. Now we were talking about karma, and it's not an act of retribution. Now karma. How do I ensure that my karma is I don't have to carry so much of a burden anymore. Like they say, na, we as a jiva, we have shatakoti janma, it's amount of karma with on our back. How do I overcome this? There is so much of a bank balance in the Swiss bank. They have so much of a balance that I cannot exhaust it in this life or the next life. Whatever I might do, I cannot exhaust it. So what do I do in such a case? So Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, he clearly says that, and I have not found this anywhere else, where he says that Jnana Agnihi Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. The fire of knowledge is such that it can burn to ashes every karma that you might have. You might have mountains of karma, but this knowledge will make it a cotton mountain, and one spark of this on the cotton mountain is enough to burn the entire. So Bhagavan says Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurate. Sarva karma means there are three types of karma in that again. You have sanchita, you have agami, and you have prarabdha. Prarabdha is what we are experiencing now. Sanchita is what is there to be experienced, and agami is the one which we are in the which we are creating right now, right?
Created, right.
So it's like that hunter having shot an arrow which is heading towards the prey, which is the prarabdha karma, and then there is this which is there in his back. Those are the agami, and sorry, which is on the bow, ready, which is deployed but not fired yet, is the agami karma, and then there is the karma in the back, sanchita. Those are the things waiting to be fired upon us. So what now the thing is, what is knowledge? What is knowledge? Jnana Agni Sarvaka. Everybody talks about knowledge. There are so many courses, there are so many things to now sell knowledge to you. Somebody wants to now suddenly go and learn Sanskrit and all that. No. Try to understand that knowledge is whenever your mind is turned inside, whenever your mind is turned within, that is knowledge. Very simple. When your is associated with your five senses, okay, there is nothing wrong, but don't think this is everything. The whole day we are battered by media, by our parents' conditioning, by our colleagues, our bosses, wives, children, saying this is real, this is real, this is real. But when you sleep, none of this matter to you. And what you might have won a jackpot in your sleep, but when you wake it doesn't matter. Just like what you have now, in a king might have a beggar's dream, and a beggar might have a king's dream. It makes no difference actually. So always remember that. And there is another beautiful thing when we surrender to this insight, which we can call as God, which we can call anything. Yeah, because again Bhagavan says that he says that Mamaivaamsho Jiva Bhuteshu. Means says that every jiva is my own amsha. Means just like every cell in my body is mine. Just like that,
Yeah.
I am a cell in his body, right? So he says that my amsha jiva bhuteshu. So we are a cell in his own body, and whatever is our karma, when we give it to him, he can take it, but we have to give it in the right way, right?
Yeah.
Like what we generally do, I'll tell you, is like we are sitting in the train, like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi used to say, and we carry the box on our head all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no, this I have to carry this burden. No, not required. It's okay, keep the box down.
Keep the box down.
Yeah,
Correct.
because pain will take it. So always make it a practice. Any in your meditation or in your prayer to hand over whatever you cannot resolve to this higher power. Now this higher power is, but he or you both are the same actually.
Somebody, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to say one important thing that was always there. I want to highlight something very important. See, I have seen people who not. I have seen greatest sages, not as people in the Himalayas. Every year I go in search of sages in Himalayas, but I see them in a common run of life. They might not be wearing ochre robes or anything, but there is so much they can teach us. And whenever I have been bogged down by challenges, I remember what Sakshi tells. I refuse to give, right? So those
I
following,
was so pleasantly surprised that you remembered.
of course, Sakshi, that's the main reason I signed up for this because see, I know the life of Sakshi. All Amaranth, the students know the life of Sakshi. We have all been with her. Just she's actually an inspiration because the way she has come out of whatever is pressing her down, the more something is pressing her down, the more she is adamant to come up. I love that doggedness. I love that uh, uh, grit, and that's one of the whenever you people see Sakshi, you hear about her, I want you to take that dodginess, and I want to tell in your mind that I refuse to give up. I'm not going to give up, right? So that rigidness is required even when you want to have spiritual advancement. Like we see the life of this person called Milarepa, right? Milarepa. How many difficulties he was subjected to. He was a disciple of Buddha himself, Sri Buddha. But this doggedness is required, this stubbornness is required, and never refuse to give up. So thank you so much, and may God
So much.
bring all His abundance in your life, and may He keep all of you safe. Please take care. Thank you.